right after this.
B Network.
Welcome back as Orlando Roman gets tuned up for this. Oh my goodness, it reads like a nightmare even for a Cy Young Award winner. Gene Segura, Manny Machado, the MVP from Miami, and Robinson Cano started. Then it's Bautista, Santana, and Cruz. Adrian Beltre, Gregory Polanco, and Wellington Castillo rounded out. There's balance, there's speed, there's power. There is a lot of hardware in the Dominicans' starting lineup. Tall assignment for Roman, but he is up to the challenge. And though U.S. baseball fans might not be familiar with him, he is something of a well-known commodity in his native land. Drafted by the Mets way back in 1999. Never got to the big leagues. 38 years old, spent 10 seasons in the minors and 9 seasons pitching abroad.
Well, he's got Yadier Molina, and as far as I'm concerned, the best in the business at being able to get his pitcher through a lineup. Look, there wasn't much expected from this pitching staff, or I should say unknown relatively, when they only gave up 5 earned runs in their last pool. So they definitely held their own. A lot of it had to do with Yadier Molina behind the plate.
Gene Segura ready to start us out tonight. And the San Diego pool is underway. Segura earning back-to-back starts after sitting the first 2 games of the tournament for the Dominicans. He was 3 for 6 on Sunday and whacks a base hit into center field. Picking up right where he left off.
Well, you mentioned the challenge for Orlando, and it's definitely going to be that. He's going to basically have to keep them guessing. In other words, he doesn't have overpowering stuff. He knows how to pitch. He mixes it up, and he's that WBC veteran, so he's not going to be, this is not going to expose his nerves. And then really, if you're the manager, you just want to give me 3 innings. If you can get 3 innings, turn it over, and just let your rest of your staff try to navigate. You don't want to kind of go through the lineup more than once if you have to. And I would expect 3 innings would be the max they can get out of Roman.
He'll deal with a base runner aboard. We'll see him work out of the stretch to the red-hot Manny Machado. 5 for 14 with a home run. That's the batting line that gave him consideration for MVP in Miami, but it was the defense that really sealed the deal. He played brilliantly at third base. Starting at shortstop tonight, however. The position Manny grew up playing. And it's 2 balls and no strikes to him here.
Well, the Dominican offense had 39 hits in those 3 games. A lot of those coming in that extra inning affair against Colombia, of which it was a tight game and broke it open with 7. 6 home runs and 26 runs.
That's hammered into the left field corner. That'll do damage. Segura being held at third. Well, Manny Machado was responsible for the 2 hardest hit balls in Miami last week. He got that one into the left field corner with hair on it.
Well, if it's offense you like, that's what I was talking about. You're going to see a lot of it. This lineup, a lot of guys swinging the bat great. And ironically, the one guy that's not probably clicked in yet is the guy at the plate right now, Robinson Cano. He's just got off to a slow start, but no big deal. The rest of his teammates have picked up the slack.
Cano just 1 for 11 with 4 walks in Miami to start the tournament. The 7-time All-Star.
Ball, that's it.
And the tournament MVP from 2013 when the DR won it all. And Yadi Molina, a well-timed visit to the mound. Well, the 2 strikes that Roman has thrown have both been hit.
That curveball you saw there and the changeup is going to be major players if he's going to get through these guys. They're just sitting back waiting for a fastball over the middle of the plate. The first 2 that they've seen have resulted in a single and a double.
Ball and no strikes to Robinson Cano. Roman has fallen behind all 3 hitters he's faced, and now he falls behind 2-0. Well, manager Edwin Rodriguez, who returns to the managerial post, assumed that last time around too in 2013, knows he has a watchful eye peeled on Roman. He wanted 3 innings out of him tonight. That was the design. It's 3 balls and no strikes now.
And honestly, playing off the number 3, if he can get to 3 runs or less, this team for Puerto Rico, they can score. But they're going to have to score against a much tougher depth of pitchers than, let's say, what Puerto Rico has tonight.
And Cano's aboard via the walk once again. That's the 5th time he's walked in not even 4 complete games. Oh, and the fire good and hot now for Roman. Bases loaded, nobody out for Jose Bautista.
Well, you mentioned even though Cano doesn't have a ton of hits, his patient eye has paid off. I don't know if he'll be as patient, Bautista.
Struck a big 3-run home run as a part of the 3-0 start for the DR in Miami. It might have made his greatest contribution defensively. The throw to the plate that nailed what would have been the winning run for Colombia in the bottom of the 9th inning Sunday afternoon. The 0-1 to Bautista. 6-time All-Star who is not regarded currently as one of the better throwing outfielders. But who knows? Maybe that throw he made on Sunday will go a little ways in correcting that. Jose's healthy. He feels as good as he has in years this spring.
Well, Orlando's got to get the ball down. He has thrown a couple breaking balls. That one spun and did not go where he wanted to. He's lucky that Bautista, who's one of the best high ball hitters you'll see, and balls that are inner half of the plate, keeping them fair down the line.
1-2. And it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count now from Roman.
He'll trade outs for runs right here, even if it's a fly ball that produces a run or even a ground ball. That's what he's looking at right now.
They appeal and ring him up.
High changeup. High changeup. He starts to go after it, but he just couldn't stop himself from keeping the ball back. And the bat back in that pitch right there. It's not intended to be there, but it worked out.
So 1 gone now for the switch hitting first baseman Carlos Santana. Santana ever aggressive behind 0-1, 6 for 15 in pool play in Miami. That included a 3 for 6 day against Columbia.
Wow, now he's a ground ball away from getting out of it. His heartbeat, as we talked about, being in this before, seems pretty cool and calm.
A flare out to right field. It's going to hang for Rosario. He'll make the catch. Tagging up is Gene Segura. Throw to the plate. Is it time to get him? And Puerto Rico gets out of it. Santa Maria. Only one player in baseball has thrown out more base runners the last 2 years than Eddie Rosario. He's got a hose, and he showed it off Dave Parker style there.
You can't draw it up any better than that.
A single, a double, and a walk start the ball game for the Dominicans, yet they are held off the scoreboard in the top of the first. Settle in. This is going to be a fun one.
On MLB Network.
To the bottom of the first, we take a look at the Puerto Rico lineup with the same kind of amazement that we did on the Dominican side. A lot of all-star pop, a lot of young talent. Note Lindor and Correa have both homered twice already in World Baseball Classic play. So a big assignment for Carlos Martinez as well. The 25-year-old Cardinals ace made his debut in the Classic on Thursday. He threw 53 pitches, allowed 4 hits in 4 great innings against Canada, and breezed to a relatively easy 9-2 win.
He has great stuff. You see the fastball, it can vary from 94 to 98. Great changeup, good breaking ball. Sometimes mechanically, and I don't want to say lazy's not the word, but you see how easy he can throw, and sometimes should just recoil just a little bit at the end of his delivery instead of staying with that pitch all the way through.
Pagan, Lindor, and Correa lead things off for Puerto Rico. Quickly, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to the ex-San Francisco Giant. Angel Pagan wrapping up his 4-year deal with the Giants at the end of the 2016 season, and he is among the more high-profile players in this tournament that is unsigned for 2017. A high drive to right field, but playable for Cruz. Well, worth going back to revisit that play that ended the bottom or top of the first, John. It looked like a certainty that the Dominican was going to score here.
Yeah, it was hit on a line. Great positioning by the outfielder. And Segura, you want nobody else but him. He's so fast, but a great play by Yadier Molina. Putting that foot right there, forcing him to try to swim outside and catch the back part of the plate. Rosario with a cannon.
1 gone now for Francisco Lindor. 5 for 11 with 2 home runs in Mexico to start the tournament. 2016 All-Star. Back at Petco Park after playing in last year's Midsummer Classic here.
And we decided we're giving him the MVP of the previous
Oh,
round.
that's right. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Yeah, we were trying to figure out just who was designated as the MVP from Jalisco. And nobody seemed to know the answer. So we just decided to give it to Lindor. Already used to the big stage early in his major league career. Hit .310 in the postseason last year. His Indians coming a heartbeat or 2 away from winning a World Series title. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Carlos Martinez.
I'm still buzzing myself about that top of the first, and Puerto Rico wiggling out of that.
I mean, single double walk against that lineup. It didn't look like Roman had a lot. Right, he fell behind the first 3 batters he faced. He had no runs in the top of the first. And there's ball 4 to Lindor.
Well, for Martinez right there, he'd like to have that at bat back. He was ahead of the count and didn't locate, and he got a walk. But these are the keys that I think he's going to be tested much more than he was in his first game against Team Canada. And he's got to be able to change it up. And what I mean by that is use that changeup. Bring that changeup along. It's a good pitch. And then keep the motions in check, because these are obviously big-time feelings that both these countries have. And he's an emotional pitcher and feeds off of it. Keep it in check.
So a base runner now for the 2015 American League Rookie of the Year, Carlos Correa. 2 for 9. Both of his hits were home runs in Mexico last week. In on the hands, a ball and no strikes. Early on, before anybody got to the World Baseball Classic, when rosters were being discussed, the question was, with all the great middle infielders on the Puerto Rico roster.
He really has been, Matt. I think the key thing for Lindor at shortstop in this tournament, a couple things really. Number one, the Gold Glove at short in the American League this past season, and also the Indians, the Cleveland Indians, Matt, had a very strong preference for Lindor to stay at short and play nowhere else, whereas the Astros were comfortable with Correa moving around just a little bit.
Another one in on the hands.
And part of that could be because the talk long term is that Correa is going to be a third baseman. Unfortunately, when you talk to him, he said, I'm going to do everything I can because of his size, how big he is. Keep the weight off, stay at shortstop as long as he possibly can. That's where he wants to play. But everybody projects this guy to end up at third base based on the size. Kind of like Manny Machado a little bit. Started as a shortstop.
2 balls and a strike to count to Carlos Correa.
There's an interesting exchange there with the pickoff throw of Lindor going back to first to his teammate Carlos Santana at first. They were getting a chance to have a conversation as it was a close play.
Not a very aggressive lead for Lindor, and that misses low, and now Martinez is behind 3-1 after getting ahead of Lindor 0-2. He walked him. Lindor getting a little earful of information from the veteran first base coach Jose Valentin, who's played in this event as a player and is back as a coach for the second time. See if he's running on 3 balls and a strike. He stays put, and it's a full count now.
That's 98, nasty, moving on a 3-1 pitch to a great hitter. I'd say there's a contrast between these two pitchers.
Martinez shakes off Wellington Castillo one time. See if Lindor goes on full count with 1 away. He stays put again.
Ball, that's it.
And it's ball 4. Back-to-back 1-out walks, and it's Puerto Rico that's got something cooking here in their half of the first.
That slider just didn't make the turn. Stayed inside. He's trying to get it on the outer half of the plate. See how it backed up. Martinez finishing in a unique way, hoping he might get the call, but not so fast.
Martinez has missed on 8 of his last 11 pitches, and now he's got to deal with the unquestioned leader of this Puerto Rico squad, Carlos Beltran, the 9-time All-Star and one of the newest Houston Astros, returning to the site of some of his greatest major league work when he spent the back half of 2004 in Houston and shined in the playoffs that year. He's got runners aboard with 1 away. Swinging a high fly ball out in right center field. Polanco and Cruz talking about it, and it's Polanco that finally asserts himself to make the catch. A little dicey.
Well, for Carlos Martinez, here is his pitch grips on what I think are 3 dynamic pitches. He's going to have his full campaign this year where he does not have any restrictions that we know of now as far as innings. 4-seam fastball, and there's the slider. That slider can be devastating. He doesn't throw many curveballs, probably less than 5%. That changeup that we talked about is getting better and better, and the 2-seam fastball has tremendous movement. For Carlos Martinez and the St. Louis Cardinals, he has moved himself up to the front of the rotation. A lot expected from him this year.
2 on, 2 out now for the 7-time All-Star, 8-time Gold Glover Yadier Molina.
Speaking of teammates,
yeah,
Yadier Molina caught every inning that Carlos Martinez threw last year.
Off to a 3-for-9 start in the World Baseball Classic with a home run. He's got Lindor and Correa aboard with 2 gone. You know, you talk about the relationship between Martinez and Molina, and it goes just beyond what happens between the lines. Molina, prior to last year, actually requested that the Cardinals locker the 2 next to one another. Yadi Molina has kind of assumed a big brother role in Martinez's life and career. And a lot of people credit that relationship with Martinez having his best overall season. That could be trouble. Little flare out to shallow left center that drops in. It's going to bring in Lindor, and Puerto Rico is the first to score tonight.
See the little smirk on Carlos Martinez. He's going to hear about that, right? During the year, Molina didn't hit it. He's trying to make facial contact and eye contact, but he won't do it.
So a couple of conversations now. Well, the guy smiling just got the best of his little brother figure.
Yeah, he didn't hit it great, but he got enough of it. And Machado, playing shortstop, goes back on this ball. Cannot get it. A big 2-out hit in the first inning after, again, it looked like Dominican was ready to break it open in the first inning.
So now the free-swinging postseason hero from last year's magical Cubs run, second baseman Javier Baez, also off to a good start in the World Baseball Classic. 5 for 14 with a home run in Mexico last week.
And there we saw the changeup. Sitting on fastball, 88, 89 mile an hour. His changeup is almost the fastball of his opposing pitcher tonight.
Baez pops one up, that one out of play. Javi Baez had the great postseason up until the World Series when he kind of cooled off, but he was the MVP of the NLCS in the 6-game win over the Dodgers. Hit .318, drove in 5 in that victory. And then in the World Series didn't fare quite as well, but boy, everything the Cubs touched worked, regardless of who was hot and who wasn't. He's got Correa and Molina aboard. And it's a 1-2 count now to Javi Baez.
Yeah, and part of that emotions I was talking about is he's just probably a little amped up here, and he's pulling away from his slider. When your front shoulder goes towards first base, it flies open your arm, and that slider can't stay on plane and make it turn away from the right-handed hitter. So he's got to keep that front shoulder in there and trust.
Swing and a miss. So Martinez limits the damage at a run, but Puerto Rico is the first to score tonight. A run on only 1 hit. We're on to the second. A 1-0 game.
Savings and a whole lot more.
This World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And sponsored in part by the U.S. Army. Find out more at GoArmy.com. And by the all-new Alfa Romeo Giulia. Beautiful coastline of San Diego. Here we are back at Petco Park with J.P. Morosi and Hall of Famer John Smoltz, Matt Vasgersian. A 1-0 lead for Puerto Rico. Nelson Cruz leads things off in the DR half of the second. Cruz, Beltre, and Polanco. 40-plus home runs for 3 straight years. That's what Roman has to deal with to lead things off in the second, and Cruz certainly flexed his muscles in Miami. A 3-run home run against Andrew Miller. That was the undoing of the U.S. That's into the gap in right center field, in trouble. How about gone? Boy, they might take another look at that one, because I'm not sure that that fan didn't reach over the fence to make that catch.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He definitely reached over. I think that's exactly what the manager, Edwin's going to go out and ask him to take a look. Now, whether he reached over and this would have been gone anyways, yep. Let's say it holds out. But you're right, he did reach over.
You know, I think it would have been gone as well, but the fact that, you know, where he finished, his hands were below the fence line, I wouldn't be surprised if they take this one back.
Well, it's the only thing that they can actually take a look at as far as replays. Either way, that ball was hit extremely hard.
As John mentions, the only reviewable play is just that. Home runs in the first and second round, and it doesn't come from the managers, it comes from the crew chief.
Let's take a closer look again. This ball, I don't know if this angle will tell us. The other angle had a better look.
Boy, John, I agree with you. I think it would have gone out, but I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I think they're going to call this one a double. I think they're going to bring this back.
Well, because he didn't lean way out.
Under review. It was a heck of a catch, I'll say that. You know, here at Petco Park, the fences have come in gradually, and there were 2 little installments. After the 2012 season, they cut that gap down, and it's exactly the dimension where that gentleman made the catch. There's a beach out there.
See, this is the view where I think the ball would have been a home run. See how it almost looks like it was at above his wrist, and then he bobbles it, and when he catches it after he bobbles it, makes it look like it was actually lower than it is. That's
that hit balls out there in the early years at Petco Park. Phil Nevin was about the only guy strong enough to do that. But again, as we mentioned, the fences have come in here since those days.
See, he just absolutely stays on that ball and knows it's at least a double right out of the gate.
Yeah. Here they come, home run. Now they can celebrate.
He's happy.
Yeah, you can stick around now, sir. So a 1-1 ball game after the Cruz home run holds up, and now it's the 4-time All-Star Adrian Beltre, 1 for 8 and making 2 starts in Miami. And he takes a strike. .58 hits shy of 3,000. I love playing the scheduled projection game, John. I know it's dangerous. The 3 worst words in baseball are on a pace.
On a pace,
yes. Right? So if you look at the Rangers schedule, you try to figure out when you buy your ticket.
I'm going to say you buy your ticket sometime in May 18th.
May 18th, you're saying?
Yeah.
Do you want the answer?
That's an aggressive, yeah.
You want to know where they are on May 18th?
Yeah.
May 18th, they'll be home, wrapping up a homestand against the Phillies.
That's an aggressive pace.
Yeah. If it happens a little earlier, it could happen here in San Diego. And a called strike 3 taken to Beltre for route number 1. I think that the backdrop for a 3,000 hit is important. And I say that because when the late great Tony Gwynn earned his 3,000th hit as a Padre, and no offense, but it happened in Montreal. 1-1 home to Polanco, shattered his bat, popped it up. Lindor, Lindor's got it for round number 2. They were in a shift. Yeesh. Oh, Robinson Cano's not going to be happy.
Well, defensively, we can talk all day on the infield. Pagan in left field, Fuentes, and you saw what Rosario could do. But the infield is what Puerto Rico is known for. Correa, Lindor, Baez, Rivera playing first base, and that's product. And Yadier Molina, as good as it gets behind the plate.
Roman bounces back to retire the 2 hitters after the home run. Now it's the number 9 batter, catcher Wellington Castillo. 3 for 12 in Miami with a home run. Hit an opposite field 2-run shot on Thursday against the Canadians. And then on Sunday had the big 2-run single that opened the 11th inning and started the 7-run rally that would ultimately get the Dominican Republic here to San Diego. Two balls and no strikes.
Orlando's trying to mix it up as much as he can and frustrate this lineup. He didn't look like he was frustrating them in the first inning with nobody out and the bases loaded, but then wiggled out of that.
The general manager of Team Puerto Rico, Major League veteran Alex Cora, was very confident with Roman today, as was Edwin Rodriguez. If nothing else, based on the great season he had in the Caribbean League. Three balls and a strike to count to Castillo. Top of the order, Gene Segura waiting next. Ball 4. You know, JP, there are so many stars on this Puerto Rico team. It was not a given that this group would be together playing in the Caribbean Series.
It's a great point, Matt, and certainly you mentioned Alex Cora. It's been a very busy few months for him. He won the Puerto Rican Winter League Championship with Caguas, then the Caribbean Series Championship with that very same team. He built this roster, and oh, by the way, he's in his first spring on A.J. Hinch's staff in Houston. So Alex Cora, Matt, has been working with 3 teams in the last 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, he is as busy as anybody in the game, flying back and forth between Puerto Rico and Houston, and then chasing the team wherever they may be. Segura with a ball well hit to the other field, but Rosario's able to make a routine play of it to retire the side. Nothing after the home run. It took a review, but it held up. Nelson Cruz's second of the World Baseball Classic has tied the score at 1.
$45 per line.
Sunset at Ocean Beach. We welcome you back to this World Baseball Classic telecast presented by MLB Network, presented by Geico on MLB Network. Just too busy thinking about Ocean Beach. I think that was David Wells carrying the bait bucket. I swear I saw a large man with a Babe Ruth hat. 1-1 ball game. Eddie Rosario leads things off for Puerto Rico against Carlos Martinez. Eddie's already made a mark on this game. An outstanding throw to the plate to keep Dominican Republic off the scoreboard in the first. That after they had loaded the bases with nobody out.
Ball, that's out.
Rosario, T.J. Rivera, and then Raymond Fuentes here in the home half of inning number 2. A strike, and it's 3-1. There's so much construction in this part of San Diego. I mean, everywhere you look, every shot we could take of this great ballpark, there's a building going up someplace. And there's ball 4. That's the 3rd walk already from Martinez, who doesn't quite look like himself tonight.
No, he doesn't. Not every start's going to be exactly the way you want. Another pitching coach visit to the mound to try and get him back locked in. It almost looks like his body and mannerisms are speaking what the hitters are seeing, that he doesn't have his best stuff at his command.
Veteran pitching coach Bill Castro out to chat with his group, and that'll bring up New York Mets property T.J. Rivera. Guy born on the other side of town, JP, who's playing in the orange and blue of Flushing, Queens.
How about this, Matt? He grew up in the Bronx, and now he works in Queens, as you mentioned, with the New York Mets. And as Mark Carrig wrote in Newsday before the NL wildcard game last October, it was a 15-minute drive from his parents' house in the Bronx to go to work that night at Citi Field. His assignment, Matt? Oh, only to face Madison Bumgarner.
Oh, that's all, huh? Welcome to the big leagues. 1 for 8 with a home run is Rivera so far in the World Baseball Classic. He's got the leadoff hitter aboard, nobody out. That lead does not look like Eddie Rosario wants to run. Jam shot foul.
Discussing where they're going to go eat after the game.
Really, you habla?
A little bit.
Okay. Poquito? Poquito. Oh, and 2 the count home to T.J. Rivera. You know, we are told, and to kind of re-emphasize the point, and we talked about this regarding the Dominican Republic team in Miami because there were so many Dominican fans there, of course, being a lot easier to travel, a lot closer. The interest in Santo Domingo is the same as it is in Puerto Rico. San Juan is abuzz, we were told before the game. Everybody is home watching this one tonight. There's a shot well hit out to right center. Polanco gets under it to make the catch, and there's one away. You can almost feel, John, something that the players are certainly aware of and something you've been aware of, having come here as a visitor for so many years. When you get into dusk and then nightfall, the air gets really heavy this time of year.
Yeah, it does, and certainly in the daytime, the ball will jump a lot more, particularly probably during batting practice.
1 out, 1 on now for Raymond Fuentes. Former first rounder by the Red Sox back in 2009, and save a couple of brief call-ups. For the most part, his work has come at the minor league level. He appeared in 23 games with the 2013 Padres right here, and 13 games for last year's Royals. But as you can see, a big body of work on the farm. One out, one on for him here. Home second, a 1-1 game. 0-2.
I used to mess up all the Spanish-speaking teammates on my team. I'd go up to them and I'd say, no SOCKS. And they would look at me like, that doesn't mean anything. I said, no SOCKS. He said, John, you're not making any, this doesn't mean anything. I said, I have no socks. No SOCKS. I was spelling out socks. That's kind of how my Spanish would go.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sure they appreciated the attempt.
They did.
A swing and a miss. A couple of good changeups take care of Raymond Fuentes, and there are 2 away. That's 5 straight strikes, 6 straight strikes since the mound visit by Bill Castro. So whatever was discussed seems to have clicked.
Well, out of the stretch, he's more compact. On the windup, he just seemed a little too free and easy and getting out of his mechanics, which was causing his fastball to float. And out of the stretch, he's been more locked in, and I think that changeup we're going to see more and more if he's able to pitch deep into this game.
Here's Angel Pagan now, trying to do something with that leadoff walk. And Pagan takes a strike. JP, you know, talking about how big this series is back in Puerto Rico, this game in particular, we were told before the game by Alex Cora and Edwin Rodriguez that back in 2013, the last World Baseball Classic, so many people stayed inside in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks to watch these games that there was a reduction in the crime rate.
There was, Matt, and even recently, the governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rosselló, had a FaceTime conversation with the Puerto Rican team thanks to Carlos Baerga having his phone number. So again, some modern technology enables a word from the governor.
Wow, that's big time stuff. It was a 1-2 to Pagan. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. Yeah, I know JP was the guy that asked which of the coaches or which of the players did the governor call. And apparently Carlos Baerga, they call him the president of everything. He's the guy. Probably the guy that's got the equipment deal, the guy that organizes dinners, the guy that gets the call from the governor. A terrific major league career. Runner goes, Pagan waves at it, misses. The throw down to second doesn't matter as Pagan strikes out to retire the side. Carlos Martinez getting it back together in a hurry. 3 early strikeouts for the St. Louis A's. Still a 1-1 game. Oh, Magra!
MLB Network.
More World Baseball Classic action coming your way at 6 a.m. 2-0 Japan takes on 1-1 Israel. Kind of a must-win game for the Cinderella of the tournament if they're going to move on. And then we'll be back here at Petco Park tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific for the U.S. taking on Venezuela. Plenty of star power in this pool in San Diego. Welcome back. Manny Machado, the first to face Orlando Roman here in the third.
And I think this will be his last inning, so in a perfect world, they'd love to see him get 3 outs, because 3 innings was kind of the goal, and they turned it over to Hector Santiago.
Machado, Cano, and Bautista here for the Dominican Republic. Machado doubled in his first trip to the plate today. When it looked like a certainty that the Dominicans would score in the first inning, they had bases loaded, nobody out, and were turned away. Machado now 5 for 15 in the World Baseball Classic. Got it. Little change of speed. Now this is exactly what was advertised from Orlando Roman. Not a hard thrower, location, veteran moxie, and he figures out a way.
Slower breaking ball. You can see Molina would have liked to seen it a little bit more outside, but that change of speed and break just enough to fool Machado, who's been locked in so far at the plate. That might be it.
Yeah, they want a left-hander for Cano apparently. They're going to make an early change. Orlando Roman leaves him in pretty good shape. Should say so. Allowing only a run in 2 1/3. Another pitching change, or should I say the first pitching change. And we'll be right back.
For up to 1 year.
Well, judging by the way Orlando Roman started the night with the bases loaded, nobody out, you'd never think that he'd get out of here with only the 1 earned run, but he really got it together nicely. Just the cruise home run, the only damage. He leaves with the game tied and 1 away, and hands the ball to a former All-Star veteran left-hander Hector Santiago.
Yeah, this is a guy that throws across his body and will primarily throw fastballs and changeups. So as a left-hander, he creates deception by hiding the ball and creating spin on his fastball.
Robinson Cano, the first to face him. Cano has walked tonight, and you get the sense that Edwin Rodriguez knew exactly who could neutralize who. Cano's never really had any success against Santiago until now. Just 3 for 24 against him lifetime. But the one-out base hit puts a runner on in front of Bautista. Hector's really gotten into the spirit of the World Baseball Classic, Smoltzy. He's got the logo of the event, the logo you see on the right-hand side of your screen, the baseball and the colors. He's got it painted onto the back of his head.
Huh. I was thinking about doing that on top of my head.
First pitch to Jose Bautista's hit for a strike.
Got like a perfect area circumference that could fill that area.
I mean, if you want to do that and be identified by any drone and low-flying aircraft in San Diego County. 0-2 the count to Bautista.
He has that unique fastball where you just think you're on it, but hitters don't always get on it. And mid to belt-high fastball, because of what I talked about, the hitter just doesn't see it as long as they would a traditional pitcher. He kind of works to his advantage.
Bautista 0 for 4 lifetime against Hector Santiago. Cano at first with one away, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Robinson Cano doing his best Jose Bautista impersonation. Carlos Santana next. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Remembering Hector's All-Star campaign just a couple of years ago as an Angel, he got into the break with a 2.33 ERA. Second half of the season didn't go as well for him, but last year between the Angels and Twins, he was a 13-game winner. Hey, look out. Full count now.
He has a lot of confidence in that fastball. In this day and age, when you don't throw 95 and above, you better have some deception or locate it. He doesn't necessarily locate it great, but like I said, he pitches up a little bit more than most left-handers would.
Here's his 3-2 home, and there's ball 4 to Bautista. Started the at-bat 0-2. And Bautista comes back to work the walk. A 1-1 tie at Petco Park.
Well, the thought here is for Santiago to hit about 3 innings in himself before they turn it over to the bullpen, as relievers traditionally 1, maybe 1+ innings at a time. But Puerto Rico did a nice job in the first series, only giving up 5 earned runs. They're going to have their absolute tested. They're going to be super tested this series with all the lineups they're going to face.
Carlos Santana now. He'd like to have that pass back. Fouls it off. It's 0-1. There's still a chance that if both of these teams move on in the tournament, that they would face one another in Los Angeles. That's the next and final stop in the World Baseball Classic. The 2 winners from this bracket and the 2 winners from the Tokyo Dome. Ball and a strike to count to Santana.
I watched a little bit of that Japan comeback. Cuba had a few different leads, and Japan just came back, and they seem to feast. They're so mechanically sound, they seem to feast off of any mistake or any kind of room they give you. And that's what they keep doing.
Hit a bunch out to left field. Pagan giving it a look at the wall. He's there to make the catch. Yeah, welcome to San Diego. A well-hit ball, something loud like that, you think is going to get 15 rows deep, and it dies at the wall.
Yeah, this ball was hit pretty good. Another high fastball. Santana's looking at it thinking maybe. Hitters know right away, but you mentioned here in San Diego might be a little more confusing at night to some of these guys. On a ball that typically would be gone somewhere else. What do they call it? The marine layer?
The marine layer, you bet. Perfectly appropriate in a military town. Here's Nelson Cruz. The only hitter that so far has faced Santiago that's really enjoyed his previous experiences with him. Nelson Cruz is 5 for 18 with 3 home runs against Santiago. His leadoff home run in the second inning tonight tied the ball game. One that was reviewed and ultimately upheld. 2 on, 2 out, nothing, and 1 to Nelson Cruz. Let's take you back to the second.
It's a good pitch. Outer third, maybe even off the plate.
Two balls and a strike. The Dominicans hit 5 home runs in their first round. Puerto Rico struck for 7. I mean, offensively, these two teams were a mirror image of one another. The DR hit 342 in their 3 games in the previous round. Puerto Rico 353 with power.
A little confusing in the fact that the DR had 2 late rallies. Down 5-0, their offense got kicked in, and then 3-3 in the 11th. They scored 7 more runs. So typically those numbers look a little bit better as a whole, whereas Puerto Rico pretty much handled business all 3 games.
Starling Marte among the Dominican stars not starting tonight. Back to work on Cano. He's jammed. That's playable for Pagan to retire the side. Nothing comes with the 2 base runners with 1 away. We play 2.5, still tied at 1.
MLB Network.
Wednesday, more spring training action on MLB Network, leading off with the Orioles and Bucks at 1 Eastern, followed by the Angels and Giants out in the Cactus League at 4, presented by Best Western. Then at 8, all the spring training news with MLB Tonight. The action continues all spring on MLB Network. Back with John Smoltz and JP Morosi, Matt Vasgersian here at Petco Park in the early stages of a 1-1 tie. Last of the third, Francisco Lindor leads things off for Puerto Rico. Lindor, Correa, and Beltran in the home third.
Let's see if Carlos can get better rhythm out of the windup than he has been out of the stretch.
And a base hit for Lindor. He's been on base in both of his plate appearances to start tonight.
Well, that answered that.
You know, you can play the game if you were starting a major league team today. Who's the first player you'd take? If every roster was expansion team eligible, a lot of people would answer Francisco Lindor.
It's a great question and it's a great debate. I'm still leaning towards the guy at the plate.
It'd probably be the most popular other answer. Carlos Correa also walked in the first. Why would you lean that direction over Lindor?
Well, let's just say if he stays at shortstop, okay? Because I think it's so difficult to have a shortstop play with the kind of power and numbers. Lindor, like we've heard, may win a batting title soon. But Correa could hit 40. He's the closest thing we've seen to Alex Rodriguez in the way that Alex played shortstop and offensively hit.
I mean, we're in pretty good shape moving forward in Major League Baseball for young shortstop talent. There's a guy who plays up the road from here, Corey Seager, who's going to be around for a long, long time as well. Lindor off first for Correa. In visiting with the Brain Trust of Puerto Rico's coaching staff today, they realize what they have. And it goes way beyond just a star player for the Indians and a star player for the Astros and two guys who are playing for their country the next couple weeks. These two players, along with Javi Baez, are being credited with revitalizing baseball on the island.
And that's the thing. You may not get Javier Baez's name in the top 5 of those picks. That's mainly because of some of the mechanical flaws in his offense, but defensively he can play every position. I'm convinced this guy can play anywhere, and if he figures it out offensively, he's right in that conversation.
On a hop to third, Beltre to Cano, back to Santana, the double play.
It's a tricky little hop that Beltre made look pretty easy. And then once you get it to Cano, talk about easy. It's an automatic double play. Little skip off the infield grass. Once he gets it to Cano, poetry in motion.
So 2 out with the bases empty now for Carlos Beltran. He flied to center in his first plate appearance tonight. 5 for 9 in Mexico last week. You've noticed the theme for Team Puerto Rico in terms of facial hair, at least the color of it.
I didn't notice it, to be honest with you. I didn't know who he was.
I know he looks like Ernest Hemingway. But they're all going blonde. I mean, if you see Carlos Beltran in a boat with a couple dozen cats, you might want to think, goodness, you know, what's going on here? Yeah, they're all going platinum blonde, and apparently it's a trend now that's sweeping the nation in Puerto Rico. Somebody via Twitter sent up a photograph of a youth team that's all gone platinum blonde. swing and a miss by Beltran. Martinez gives up the leadoff base hit, then rolls 2 and gets a strikeout to keep Puerto Rico off the board in the 3rd. Welcome back to this World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network, presented by Geico. A 1-1 tie through 3, the opening of the San Diego round. From here, it's up the road to Los Angeles for the semifinals and finals. Plenty to be determined before then as this pool opens tonight. Adrian Beltre, the first to face Hector Santiago here in inning number 4. These two have faced one another quite a bit, as a matter of fact. No hitter has faced Hector Santiago more often than Adrian Beltre. I guess the next question is who's had the better of those matchups? Beltre 10 for 39 career with 3 home runs against the man on the mound tonight. Fades a pop into shallow right field. Baez out there to make the catch. Between innings, J.P. Morosi had a chance to catch up with Puerto Rico manager Edwin Rodriguez.
Thanks. Edwin, how do you describe what Yadier Molina means to your team?
Oh, he's the brain. He's the one controlling the whole game defensively, even offensively. I mean, he comes in the dugout and he starts, talking about pitches and all that. He's the energy of this team.
What has the World Baseball Classic done to help revitalize baseball on the island?
Oh, I did. Have been a great last 4 editions. I mean, since 2006, 2009, 2013, and this year, I was talking to Carlos Delgado, we were saying this WBC should be at least every 2 years because it brings so much energy to Puerto Rico and the Latin countries, even to Japan and Korea. So it's a great event.
Most important question, are you going to dye your hair too?
I don't think so. There's no chance on that one.
Gracias, Edwin.
All right, thank you, man. Thanks.
Now the Rally Platinum Blonde, it's working. They haven't lost in this event yet this year. Here's Gregory Polanco with one away and the base is empty. Polanco popped out to second base in his first try tonight. It's quite a coaching staff that Puerto Rico's put together too. Edwin referred to Carlos Delgado, the two-time All-Star, who's his bench coach. There's Ricky Bonas, member of the staff. We've talked about Carlos Baerga. Jose Valentin had a great major league career, and Polanco on a broken bat opposite way single is aboard. Every team has a thing, you know, that the little rally handshake, whatever it is when guys get on base. And for Team Puerto Rico, it's the blonde locks. JP, is there an origin for this? Like, who's credited with starting it?
Okay, Matt, well, here's the story I've been told. It began with Javi Baez, who wanted to find a way to go incognito in Chicago after now being a World Series champion for the Cubs. So he was the first. Then came Yadier Molina at spring training down in Jupiter, Florida, and then out to Arizona, spring training there. Kike Hernandez and Roberto Perez both did it. Kike told me, Matt, it hurt so bad. I had to have 2 rounds of bleach, then toned twice, but beauty hurts.
Beauty's also in the eye of the beholder there. Cuckoo. 1 out, 1 on now for Wellington Castillo. I got news for Javi Baez, by the way. You can dye your hair blonde all you want. You're going to get recognized in Chicago. You're a huge star there. Not to mention, when you have the Major League Baseball logo tattooed on the back of your neck, I mean, no hair dye is going to cover that up. A ball and no strikes, the count to Castillo. Javi's wearing it. He got a huge Cubs World Series trophy tattooed on his shoulder in the offseason. You better not decide to play basketball down the road. He's going to run out of space. Castillo sends a high fly ball into left, routine for Pagan.
Well, Santiago he does a nice job of being effectively wild. He pitches in enough to keep the hitter honest, and then he'll wrinkle that changeup, which you just saw right there. He'll pitch up and in more than he pitches away, so that's his comfort zone, especially the right-handed hitters.
There's Gene Segura now, top of the order with a runner aboard and 2 gone. They got Segura singled to open the ball game. Moved around to third after the double by Machado and stayed right there. Bases were loaded with nobody out to open the game, and Orlando Roman pitched out of the jam. Each team, by the way, has had at least 1 base runner in every half inning of this one. Yet only a 1-1 tie on the scoreboard. A ball and no strikes to Gene Segura. Gene will be used to weather like this in his new Major League uniform. Leaving the NL West, being traded up to Seattle this winter. Polanco goes, had a pretty big jump, and Molina can't get a handle on it, rather, to throw down.
Polanco got a good jump, big long strides. As you said, Molina didn't quite come up with it. Normally he does.
42% for his career in throwing out would-be thieves. That's the highest career number out there. And Segura takes a strike. It's 2-1. Check the count. A ball and 2 and 1. 2-1. Dominican Republic looking for their first hit with a runner in scoring position tonight. 0 for 4 so far. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Manny Machado waiting on deck. Teams that grab the early lead in the tournament so far have had considerable success. Tied here in the 4th. Look out.
See, that's what he does. I mean, he pitches effectively enough inside to now the hitter has to be a little bit apprehensive to go out and try to lean over the plate. Cuts it in there. That's the natural ball that comes out of his hand when you throw across your body. Molina's going to be pretty sure on this 3-2 pitch and make sure that they know who's on deck. Manny Machado.
Puerto Rico scored first. The Dominicans countered in the 2nd. Back to that number, talking about leading after 5. So far, teams that lead after 5 in the tournament are 19-6. Runner in scoring position. A full count pitch on its way home to Gene Segura. We know about the advantage the Dominicans have over just about everybody in the field, save maybe the Americans, in terms of bullpen matchups. We've got 4 guys out there who are capable of being major league closers. And we've seen Tony Pena run them out there one after another and effectively shorten just about all the games they've played in. Big swing and a miss at the fastball. Hector Santiago, sneaky quick with the big strikeout to keep a runner stranded and keep it a 1-1 ball game. Let's send it back to the MLB Network studios for a Geico studio update.
Get up for something good this season with MLB Central. Join Matt Besser along with Mark DeRosa and Lauren Shahadi and special guests for your leadoff look at the day in baseball, plus all the news that centrals to the game. MLB Central, presented by Hyundai, returning Monday, April 3rd on MLB Network. Don't miss it. Yeah, hit that.
I think the folks at Hyundai might want to talk to you about that. Appreciate the plug. Yadi Molina leads things off in the last of the 4th inning for Puerto Rico. Carlos Martinez back to work, having induced 9 swings and misses tonight. That includes a swing and miss, all 4 of the Ks of that variety. This has been a kind of a non-Carlos Martinez-ish performance in one regard only. He's rolled a double play ball tonight. Those are his only outs on the ground, and this is a guy who had the 4th highest ground ball rate among all qualified pitchers last year. His St. Louis battery mate sends a fly ball into right. Martinez gets him this time. Between innings, J.P. Morosi had a chance to visit with Dominican manager Tony Pena.
Tony, Martinez's command maybe not quite as good as against Canada. What have you seen so far?
Oh, you know, he just tried to do too much. He tried to overthrow a little bit right now, and he just kind of rushed a little bit, but last inning was a lot better.
The Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, what makes this rivalry so special?
Well, you know, there are 2 islands, and they are very, very close islands, you know, and even if we are real good friends, but that's very good. That's interesting.
Gracias, Tony.
Ground ball to the left side of the infield, and a rare yank. Javi Baez is aboard. He scored as a single and an error. And they may even hang a 2-base throwing error on Adrian Beltre there. I don't know. Yeah, they're telling us straight error. E5. I can't remember the last time I've written down E5 in a game that I've watched involving Adrian Beltre as a 3rd baseman.
You don't get it very often.
Gives Puerto Rico a 1-out scoring opportunity. And the left-handed hitting Eddie Rosario has that chance. He takes a strike. Lefties have a little more success against Carlos Martinez than right-handers. Last year, Southpaws hit .256 against him. Right-handers only .207. He's stingy. Fastball misses in. Bottom of the order with a chance here. TJ Rivera next. An opportunity from a 2-base throwing error out of a rather unlikely source. Well hit to right. Cruz is back, and that's going to get over him. The same dude gets another baseball on a ground rule double. The run will score, and it's a 2-1 Puerto Rico lead. What was that guy telling Nelson Cruz?
I don't know, but that was pretty good hitting on a pitch that was down. This ball hits the track, and like you said, right to him. Would have hit the wall.
And then he had something he really wanted to say to Nelson Cruz. Hey, I caught your home run ball too. Can you sign it?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what he was saying. That guy in the stands is halfway to the cycle, by the way. There's TJ Rivera now. I I got a strong suspicion he's going to be here tomorrow.
Same seat.
Same seat. He'll be here with the gates open to make sure of that. T.J. Rivera fly to center his first try tonight. Behind quickly 0-2. Dominican Republic not really used to even trailing in this World Baseball Classic. We're talking about a team that hasn't lost in this event since 2009. They ran roughshod over the competition in 2013 en route to the championship. 3-0 already this year. Straight wins is a World Baseball Classic record. Hey, Guidado. That one hits him right on the shoulder.
Another breaking ball that backed up. That's just not staying on top of the ball and staying back. This ball spins and goes the other way.
I'm hoping it got him on the pad. I said shoulder initially, and it, yeah. Oh, TJ did a nice job to make sure it got him on the pad, if that's what he was trying to do. Here comes Bill Castro. That might be all for Martinez. But that'd be tough because nobody's up in the bullpen. Thought I saw somebody up earlier, but nobody's throwing. Going to happen shortly. All this trouble started after the one-out error charged to Adrian Beltre. And it's the number 9 hitter, the left-handed bat, Raymond Fuentes, that has the opportunity now. First and second, a run in one away. Talk about the 65 pitch cap last round. It's up to 80 here. Although I'd be really surprised if Martinez gets too close to that number. Ball and no strikes. Chopper out to Machado at shortstop, flips to Cano, and that's all they settle with. No chance at a relay there. Cano decided to eat it wisely. Runners at the corners now.
Machado played a little shortstop in spring training to get ready for this very situation. Of course, he plays third base for the Orioles. Was a shortstop, converted to third base, and he's been a vacuum. We've seen tremendous plays out of Manny Machado in the first 3 games.
Here's Angel Pagan now. He has struck out and flied to right tonight. Pagan is one of the Puerto Rico players that has participated in this event previously. In fact, there are 4 guys on this roster who have played in all 4 World Baseball Classics. It's a group that included the starter tonight, Orlando Roman. One ball and one strike to Angel Pagan. Got to believe there's a place for Pagan to sign this year. I'm really amazed that he is still out there. He's coming off of a 12 home run season last year. Not a huge number, but a career high. He can play center, he can play left, he can play right, of course.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, there's different trends in the game today that are certainly pushing certain guys into a smaller island where they got to wait for what typically wouldn't be waiting. You'd have this guy on your team.
JP, who's out there that's tested the waters?
Well, there was a report by MLB Network insider John Heyman that the Orioles, in fact, had come close to a deal with Pagan before it was scuttled for physical reasons. But his agent, Greg Genske, told me recently, Matt, Pagan is healthy. He's feeling great. He's clearly playing very well right now. He wants to play somewhere in 2017.
You know that Orioles physical thing to be rather scrutinous. I mean, they've avoided some deals for free agents the last few years because of the reluctance to jump on a guy with whom they think there may be an injury issue. But Pagan, healthy. He's already stolen a base in this tournament. Speaking of stolen bases, there goes Fuentes. No throw down. And now a base hit could score a pair. Dominican bullpen is in fact busy now. Hector Neris is up and throwing. Second and third with two gone, a run in. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Angel Pagan.
Cano calling out Castillo to talk about something he either sees that may be something they want to change, whether it's with their signs or whether it's with the pitch selection.
Puerto Rico's had a little bit more success in situations like this. 2 for 5 runners in scoring position. Angel Pagan, a 300 hitter for his career with runners in scoring position and still battling 2-2. Remember a few years ago when Angel Pagan was hurt in San Francisco and the Giants swooned, and it started the whole conversation, one that started to really annoy Bruce Bochy, that the numbers were so lopsided with and without Pagan in the lineup. He was a really important part of their success. He wants timeout here.
Been a lot of timeouts called here in the last 4 minutes.
Hamstring trouble most recently for Angel. But again, he's over all that and wants to play. Takes a cold strike 3. But Martinez had him fooled. He's able to strand a pair, but Puerto Rico does get a run. We played 4 complete at Petco Park in San Diego tonight. A 1-run ball game. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. As we welcome you back to the back of Javi Baez. World Baseball Classic logo on his jersey, MLB logo on his neck. In a 2-1 game, he and Team Puerto Rico with a 1-run advantage as the Dominicans send up Machado, Cano, and Bautista here in the 5th. A strike from Santiago. 2 balls and a strike. Big pass and a miss, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Manny Machado has already accomplished so much at such a young age. I don't know that there's a way to get him out at this point. He'll murder a fastball. Tigers prospect Joe Jimenez is up. You know, JP, you could start throwing a lot of names around that that really pique your interest when you talk about what Machado's done early in his career.
Matt, he is one of only 2 MLB players ever with 100 or more home runs and 500 plus games at third base through his age 23 season. The other one is Hall of Famer Eddie Matthews.
Wow. Big swing and a miss out of him here. He struck out twice tonight. And there's 1 gone for Santiago in the 5th.
And you see all the things that he's accomplished at a young age. Only going to get better.
It's true. I mean, he's really just started his major league career. He'll be 25 in July, just before the All-Star break. Here's Cano now. Cano has walked and singled tonight. Again, that base hit against Santiago back in the 3rd. Some rare success for him against the left-hander. There's 3 for 24 against Santiago during the major league season as Puerto Rico loads up the right side of the infield against him. One and one. Robinson Cano last year added 18 home runs to his season-ending total in Seattle. Didn't get off to the greatest of starts after signing the mega deal to leave the Bronx, but last year was the Robinson Cano we were all used to.
Yeah, he was playing hurt, you know, before that. Didn't say anything. Last year was more of the kind of numbers that we expected. You knew his numbers would be altered going to Seattle versus playing at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, that's out.
3 balls and a strike.
But I can also tell you that his roster has changed quite a bit since he's gotten there. They've added a lot and changed a lot of players. This is a real close pitch, but accurate call.
Yeah, the Mariners were the busiest offseason team this winter.
Ball 4.
And there's ball 4 to Cano. He's aboard for the 3rd time tonight. JP, at the center of all the change in Seattle are 2 big bats, and they're both here playing for Team Dominican Republic this week.
They are, Matty, and add Gene Segura to that list as we've talked about before. They've got Kyle Seager there. The Mariners, Matt, interestingly, the longest postseason drought in the major leagues, going all the way back to 2001, that magical 116-win season.
Wow. You know what? I would have gotten that wrong if you'd asked me which major league teams got the longest postseason drought. Here's Jose Bautista now with 1 out and 1 on. Well, the GM in Seattle, Jerry Dipoto, has not been there for that long, and he's already made 40 deals.
Yeah, at some point that's got to change. I mean, you got to establish what you want, hopefully create a winning culture without trying to add new pieces all the time. But he did go there and change just about everything.
Jose Bautista with a 1-1 count here, batting with a runner on and one away. Top half of the fifth in a one-run game. Bautista has struck out and walked tonight. 2-1 now. Carlos Santana waits on deck for this stacked Dominican lineup. Jose would like to have that swing back. High fastball.
And that's the fastball I'm talking about. Not everybody can pitch up there and be effective, but it just looks too good to be true. Throw a little bit above the hands. If that ball's 2 inches down, we're talking Western Metal Supply Company, the building in left field.
Two balls and two strikes to the six-time All-Star Jose Bautista.
Come on, come on.
Yadi Molina has called timeout a couple of times on behalf of his pitcher in this one. Bautista back in. Santiago sets the 2-2. High fly ball out to left. Exactly what they wanted to do to him, too. Crowd him up and in. And there are two gone. Yadi Molina still, John, with all the years of service, all the wear on the knees and the hips, he still is able to set up super late in an at-bat. You see how late he popped inside of Bautista there?
Yeah, it's not hype when people talk about Yadier Molina. I got a chance just to play my end of my career with him and see him up close. The preparation and the attention to detail. And he takes so much pride in getting his pitcher through the game and through an at-bat. And of course, with the Cardinals, he's become their every year MVP, basically.
Two gone now for Carlos Santana. Well, I mean, the numbers speak loudly. In the 10 years that Yadi Molina rather has been the everyday catcher in St. Louis, the team's ERA is a full run lower when he catches.
Catches a lot.
Ball, that's in.
Mike Matheny, JP, talks about how, you know, Carlos, keep calling him Carlos, Yadi Molina can't be talked out of a lineup. He wants to play every day.
Well, speaking of lineups, Matt, let's think about this. The last Cardinal catcher to start opening day, other than Yadier Molina, is Mike Matheny himself.
There it is.
Back in 2004.
I'll never forget when they gave him that contract, and a lot of people said, wow, that's a lot of money for just a defensive catcher. But since that contract, and since actually Albert Pujols leaving, he has stepped up offensively, and he is a dual threat. He's no longer thought of as just a defensive specialist.
Setting up inside is Santana. Santiago misses there. Two balls and a strike. Nelson Cruz waiting next, and that's a plate appearance that the Dominicans would love to get with a runner or two on, because as we talked about, Cruz has really had a lot of success against Santiago. 5 for 18 with 3 home runs during the course of the major league season. So this becomes a really important plate appearance from Carlos Santana.
Tell the importance of this type format. I don't know that you would see this many meetings and timeouts in a regular game. But Yachty knows how to get through this lineup. He's going to have to be in sync perfectly with his pitchers.
Staff that's held up remarkably well so far tonight. And Santana now in front, 3 balls and a strike. The 3-1 home. On the ground to third. Great pick by Correa. That ball looked like it was ticketed for left field. Carlos Correa does his thing at shortstop during the Major League season, playing a pretty good third base here in the World Baseball Classic.
Your local Chevy dealer.
This World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network is brought to you by Chevrolet, the most awarded car company 3 years in a row. And sponsored in part by the Puerto Rico Tourism Company. Visit cpuertorico.com to plan your trip today. And by Wendy's. A 2-1 lead for Puerto Rico as they dig into bat in the last half of the 5th. And a new pitcher on the mound for the Dominican Republic. 27-year-old right-hander Hector Neris takes over. We saw Neris in Miami, and he had a particularly sharp inning against the U.S. Francisco Lindor picks on the first pitch and grounds to second base. 1 gone.
Well, Neris, fastball split. He's got other pitches, but he loves that splitter. And when his fastball is pounding for strikes, especially at the knees, then he's going to throw that split finger right off the fastball and disappear to the shin guards of the catcher.
Yeah, he throws that split finger nearly 50% of the time. 102 strikeouts out of the Phillies bullpen last year. Second most ever by a Philadelphia reliever. One gone for Correa. Carlos is grounded into a double play and walk tonight.
The theme tonight for a lot of the pitchers on both sides, they've been crowding a lot of right-handed hitters, trying to run that fastball in.
Carlos Beltran waiting on deck. One out, bases empty, home half of the fifth. I think it's an interesting kind of equation when Carlos Correa bats in front of Carlos Beltran. You know, the older guard rather, of Puerto Rican superstar against the guy who's going to carry the torch the rest of the year. And Correa's got a screaming base hit back up the middle. Carlos Beltran addressed this team before pool play began last week and told his teammates as much. Said, look, I played in this event as a young player with the likes of Pudge Rodriguez and Bernie Williams, and now I'm the old guy, and it's a pay it forward thing. Carlos Beltran won't be around to play in this event 4 years from now.
I don't have a big level of,
but Carlos Correa will, Francisco Lindor will, and they want to keep that kind of proud tradition of Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic going. They're all set for years to come with this group too. A ball and no strikes, the count to Carlos Beltran. You know, it wasn't always a guarantee either, JP. There was a time when it was thought that baseball was losing momentum in Puerto Rico.
Well, quite the opposite now, Matt. And one note that I love here as we look at Beltran and Beltran on the same field, they rank second and third on a good news, bad news list. Most hits among active players without having won a World Series. The only player with more, Ichiro Suzuki.
Beltre and Beltran.
Well, I can tell you this, the two sneakiest offseason moves, the Houston Astros added two veteran left-handed hitters, and in this case a switch hitter in Beltran. But that's going to go a long way in their locker room. The one thing that I felt, and the one thing that people can't measure, is what happens to a club when you've got all kinds of numbers and studs and the statistics. You need that presence in a locker room, and they've got it now, and Beltran is going to add to what already is a very good young roster in Houston.
Yep, Ryan McCann coming over this offseason. Carlos Beltran. You'd think, and it looks like they're healthy. A healthy Dallas Keuchel, a healthy Lance McCullers.
I mean, their offense and batting lineup is going to be very difficult to navigate through. It's where do they get the consistent pitching? But they now have someone they can go to, someone that can speak to many different matters that happen in 162 games. Someone like him who's been through everything. And as we asked the manager of Puerto Rico, who spoke in the beginning, and they said the two guys that spoke, this was one of them that talked about more things off the field and representing Puerto Rico. And Molina talked about the things on the field. So they covered every aspect before this thing got started.
Going back to Houston, where he had so much success after he was traded there at the end of the 04 season. I mean, that run he went on in the postseason as an Astro at the end of that year was unbelievable. He went 20 for 46, hit almost .450 in 12 games with 8 home runs.
Yeah, I saw that up close, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to go there on that. Sorry about that, I forgot. Well, he was able to leapfrog that into a huge deal with the Mets. There's a bouncer to first. Santana gets one there. The relay's in time to double off Beltran. Didn't think there was any way they'd have enough time for that. And Manny Machado's going to call Buck Showalter when this is over and start rallying for playing time at shortstop. Get ready for that, Buck. Oh boy. Still 2-1.
MLB Network.
Still a 2-1 ball game as Puerto Rico goes to the bullpen for just the second time tonight. Hector Santiago was terrific over 2 2/3 scoreless baseball, and he hands it over to last year's Detroit Tigers minor league pitcher of the year. In fact, it was the second time in as many seasons that Joe Jimenez has earned that honor. Got into 55 games last year, over 3 stops in the Tigers system, and ended the year with a 1.51 overall ERA.
Well, Cruz didn't like this. He thought it was down. Maybe had a little bit of a beat. 3/4 delivery.
Cruz the other way. That ball carrying Rosario in the corner there to make the catch. And there's one away. They follow every pitch of this year's World Baseball Classic live with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. Stay connected to the game's best players all spring and all season long with radio broadcasts and video highlights. Download MLB.com at-bat today, your #1 app for live baseball. And a reminder to join Major League Baseball in the new era as we celebrate opening day. Wear your cap on April 3rd and share a photo on social media using the hashtag #CapsOn. And tune into all the action on April 3rd on ESPN, MLB Network, and MLB.com. Here's Adrian Beltre now. He looked nothing more than to atone for that two-base throwing error earlier tonight. Way out in front, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, they've been rather quiet, has the dugout of the Dominican Republic. I mean, they are known for every kind of excitement that something happens. They're up, they're cheering. They're in a dogfight right now. They need something to go to kick this offense into gear.
Ball and 2 strikes. Even the fans are getting into the hair dye. Beltre wraps a ground ball up the line for Correa. And there are 2 gone for Joe Jimenez. It's hard to imagine a guy like Joe Jimenez, who teams completely whiffed on as an amateur. Undrafted out of Puerto Rico's baseball academy back in 2013. Guy's got a mid to upper 90s fastball, big time slider. He's been on the futures game roster each of the last 2 years, and with the seemingly endless Tigers bullpen issues every year, you'd imagine he'll have an opportunity sooner rather than later at the big league level. Here's Gregory Polanco now. He's trying to put together the first 1-2-3 inning of the game.
I don't think that's real, man.
What makes you say that?
That's real.
This event bringing in countless streams of revenue to the downtown San Diego hairdressers. Either that, there's been a spike in just for men's sales. Polanco with a shot into the corner that's going to be a fair ball. Bounces around down there. Rosario's up with it. Polanco's happy with a 2-out double. Gregory Polanco having a great World Baseball Classic. That makes him 6 for 11 in 3 starts.
See why the Pirates are so high on him. Locking him up as well. Big left-handed swing, big lanky power, along with pretty good speed. He tried to get it up. The ball goes down to a typical left-hander that likes it. To get the ball above his hands. Maybe that doesn't happen. The ball over the bag, but even though it went by the Rivera in foul territory.
I thought that ball was going to hit Tom Halligan, the first base umpire, crew chief here in San Diego. Nimble.
Good play there, right there. That ball could have, that funky corner could have squirted by Rosario.
So now Wellington Castillo with a chance to tie the ball game. He takes a strike. Castillo has walked and flied to left tonight. Polanco's the tying run at second with 2 gone.
Only 2 players of date have not played for the Dominican Republic team. Rosario, the backup catcher, has not seen any action. Castillo has caught all of the innings. Nuno
into the left field corner, and foul. Ball and 2 strikes to Castillo. Yeah, I'm a little surprised actually that we haven't seen Alberto Rosario at some point. Dominican Republic played in a pretty breezy 9-2 win against Canada that you might have thought perhaps that'd be an opportunity to get the backup signal caller involved, but I think Tony Pena just wants to make sure he's always got that guy available in a worst case scenario.
Either that or just give him the proportion he's used to for the Cardinals behind
0.
Yeah, behind Yadier Molina.
Next pitch for Jimenez, and a check swing, a called strike 3. Tying run left stranded. Nothing comes of the 2-out double. Played 5.5. It's still 2-1 Puerto Rico. A 2-1 game. Yadi Molina leads things off in the home half of inning number 6. Molina, Baez, and Rosario here for Puerto Rico. Sitting on 2-1. Make it 3-1. Puerto Rico. Second of the tournament for Yadi Molina.
Here in this tournament, you'll see more guys come out of the dugout after a home run or a run scored than you ever will during the season. Looks like Yadi sat on a split finger fastball and got it. No doubt about it.
So now Javier Baez. Hector Neris continuing after minimal effort in the 5th. He threw only 10 pitches. Oh my goodness. Baez with a big swing and a miss.
See that rotation just hangs in the middle of the plate. Perfect balance, head down.
And Baez swung the bat, really trying to get out of the way, ended up swinging, and it's 0-2. Two pitches beat the third. Beltre's there for it, makes a fine play. So one gone for Neris, and now Eddie Rosario, who has walked and doubled in a run tonight.
Really the third game in a row for the DR that has gotten to this point with very few runs. They took care of business against Canada early, scoring. Did not score until late against the U.S. Machado's home run. And virtually after the second inning against Colombia was held in check.
Here comes Tony Pena. Again, he's got that big, hard-throwing bullpen. He's got 4 potential closer types down there. And that's going to be it for Neris. A run in to make it a 3-1 game and a pitching change. We'll be right back.
Well, we just saw the home run. StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services is going to give us the details. He knew it right when he swung. Perfect balance. Ball's absolutely crushed. He took advantage of a hanger. You see the exit velocity, 100 miles an hour, and the projected distance, 369 feet.
So Tony Pena goes to the bullpen. He wants a left-hander here for Eddie Rosario. Eddie Romero, the pitcher. One of a couple of Tampa Bay Rays in the Dominican bullpen.
Yeah, this guy's got a great arm. It's 96 to 98. Very quick. gets on the hitter, as you can imagine. Firm slider, about 89 miles an hour, and sometimes it may look like a cutter.
Hard throwing 24-year-old southpaw, and he gets in front 0-2.
And there's that cutter, 91.
TJ Rivera on deck. Joseph Colon up in the Puerto Rico bullpen. You know, your point earlier, John, talking about the Dominicans and their ability to come back. See another pitch that looked like it was off the plate. A lot of their damage in this tournament has been done 7th inning or later. You intimated that earlier, and in fact, it's 13 of their 27 runs that have been scored in the 7th inning or later. Of course, a lot of that was in the extra innings game, the 7-run 11th on Sunday against Colombia.
Saw the previous inning, a little disgust from the DR on that third call strike to Castillo. So they want something given back to them that may be close.
Tony Pena looked like he was still stewing a little bit over the strikeout call to Wellington Castillo last half inning. Expressed his displeasure with Will Little, the home plate umpire. Little flare out over shortstop. That is run down by Machado. Well, these are the standings for the two brackets that are getting us into the finals in Los Angeles next week. We're just getting started here in San Diego. This is the first game of the pool, so no records yet. You see Cuba's really backed up against it. They take on the Kingdom of the Netherlands later on tonight on MLB Network. The Netherlands and Cuba in progress, as you can see already, a 3-0 game. Rivera swings and misses. We mentioned Eddie Romero's numbers in Tampa Bay last year and billed him as a Tampa Bay reliever out of this bullpen, not noting that he was traded just a month ago. He's now Washington Nationals property. Still 0-2 to TJ Rivera.
Well, they got a good one. Good arm.
When the Dominicans bat in the 7th, they'll have the top of the order. Tony Pena has the luxury of a full, versatile bench as well. A group that includes Starling Marte, who is a non-starter, Jonathan Villar, Jose Reyes. And we'll get to that top of the 7th inning sooner than later. Big time work out of Eddie Romero. Nothing after the Molina home run, but Yadi's second of the tournament has made it a 3-1 Puerto Rico lead. Bats number 6.
MLB Network.
Puerto Rico goes to the bullpen and selects right-hander Joe Colon to get the top of the Dominican order, nursing a 2-run lead here late, top of the 7th inning, back with John Smoltz and J.P. Morosi, Matt Vasgersian. Joe Colon got some big league time with the Indians last year. He's pitching in the World Baseball Classic for the first time. In fact, he was on Puerto Rico's designated pitchers pool in the first round of the tournament, so he was activated for this round and pitching tonight. It was a good change to the tournament rules this year to try to alleviate the strain on pitchers. Segura grounds for shortstop. Lindor's got him, and there's one away. Each team can have up to 10 pitchers in the designated pitchers pool that they can call up for a new round. JP, nobody carried all 10, and in fact, some teams didn't use it at all. It seems like the U.S., Puerto Rico, they've got a sizable pitchers pool.
They certainly do, Matt. And one thing to watch this week, Venezuela was very short on pitching before last night's tiebreaker game. They've added veteran right-hander Hector Rondon to their bullpen from that list. But tomorrow's starter, Matt, a very familiar name against the U.S., Felix Hernandez.
Yes, Felix Hernandez tomorrow night. That's appointment viewing as the U.S. team makes its first appearance here in San Diego. Here's Manny Machado now with one away.
Everything Manny does is majestic fly balls. This game, muscle, weight, turn those doubles into homers.
A ball and a strike to the three-time All-Star.
And he just missed that one. You can see him at home plate just grimacing as that was something he felt he should have handled.
You know, for all the firepower on this Dominican lineup, as you see Robinson Cano waiting next, if you take that 7-run inning away from him, and Machado's rung up. My goodness, this is some strike zone tonight, America.
I'm gonna tell you something, that side of the plate has been very lenient, and there's no chance that Machado could hit this pitch. It is early for the umpires too, but that is way outside, and that was the same pitch that Castillo got called out on. So if I'm pitching the rest of this game to a right-hander, that's where I'm going.
Oh, damn! Fucking go!
Robinson Cano now. Grounds that right to Rivera and first. Joe Colon is fired up. A strike zone channeling the late Eric Gregg. Certainly a part of the storyline tonight. It's a 3-1 game. Controversial strike zone tonight. Competitive juices are flowing. Mics are live. We apologize for some of what you may have heard last half inning on a field mic, as play resumes here in the last of the 7th inning. Kike Hernandez is the pinch hitter who will open things against Eddie Romero, who continues. He retired both of the hitters he was called on to face in the 6th. A strike to Enrique Hernandez. The versatile LA Dodger plays some second base, play all around the outfield. Ball and a strike. Top of the order next, Pagan and Lindor. And Puerto Rico would love some late insurance. Pretty good chance we'll see Dylan Betances this inning. He's hot in the bullpen. The big Yankee.
Big is right.
Hernandez sets a fly ball the other way. A 3-1 game in San Diego as we welcome you back to this World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network, presented by Geico. Looked like the Dominican Republic was going to be off to the races tonight. They got the bases loaded with nobody out to start the ball game. They were turned away. Puerto Rico was the first to score. The lone Dominican run came on a Nelson Cruz home run. Since then, Puerto Rico has added 2 more. 0-1 the count to Angel Pagan.
Yeah, it really is hard to believe that that first inning went the way it did for Puerto Rico, but they got out of it and really have silenced the Dominican bats. And this lineup should not be one that you hold to 1 run.
A ball and a strike to Pagan, who's been held hitless tonight. Dominicans will have the middle of their order in the 8th. The combination of Orlando Roman and Hector Santiago got Puerto Rico through the first 5 innings tonight. Those guys went about it differently, and both were very effective. 2-2. Tomorrow, Team USA and Venezuela here at Petco Park. The Americans trying to advance to the semis for just the 2nd time in the history of their World Baseball Classic lives. That's back to Romero. And there are 2 away.
Yeah, there won't be a bad matchup for this week, I can tell you that.
Netherlands and Cuba, as we mentioned, are underway in Japan, with the Kingdom of the Netherlands on top 4-0. That's just in the 2nd inning. Cuba winless so far in this 2nd round. Here's Francisco Lindor now. Lindor has walked and singled tonight. This game so far has had a much different feel for the Dominican Republic squad as to the 3 they played in Miami. The bat's not nearly as loud. 1-2. swats it fly ball to left. Bautista's got it. Bautista will lead off the top of the 8th. Middle of the order for Team Dominican Republic, trailing by a pair.
MLB Network.
Terrific, talented teams here capable of winning the whole thing.
Boy, they might take another look at that one. That's going to get over. Same dude gets another baseball, make it 3-1 Puerto Rico. One of these teams is going to stay perfect so far in World Baseball Classic play, and it's Puerto Rico that's 6 outs away from being able to claim that very fact. Joe Colon continues on the mound, and Jose Bautista faces him to lead off the top of the 8th inning. Bautista, Santana, and Cruz. New center fielder as Kike Hernandez stays out there after pinch hitting last half inning. Bautista's been quiet by his own standards tonight, 0 for 2 with a walk. In fact, the whole lineup's gone kind of quiet of late. Since the Cruz home run that led off the second, only 3 hits for Team Dominican Republic.
Great pitch selection right there. Why not go to the well where you've been getting the call with 2 strikes?
2 balls and 2 strikes to count. Bautista's been able to lay off those breaking balls. It's a full count now, 3-2.
Yeah, that's great discipline. He's thrown them 5 in a row.
That timeout appeal came from the hitter.
Normally you'd be tempted to sneak a piece of cheese by a guy like this after 5 in a row. I wouldn't.
get away with it. One away. Well, nobody saw this one unfolding as a pitching and defense night, but that's in fact what's happened. Puerto Rico scored in the first. The Dominicans countered with their only run on the Nelson Cruz homer in the second. Puerto Rico's added 2 more on a Rosario double and a Molina home run. And they lead 3-1 here in the 8th. A lot of opportunities for the Dominican Republic. 0 for 11 with runners on base tonight. And now Carlos Santana with 1 out and the bases empty. Santana's hitless this evening, 0 for 3. Tony Pena would love to get a base runner aboard in front of Nelson Cruz. This is the kind of night that has you thinking about making a comeback, John?
With this strike zone, yeah.
Tony Pena is just, he's incredible. He could run. He's gone. That's it. And now he's going to get his money's worth. This was a slow boil. Tony was super frustrated on the Wellington Castillo called strikeout in the 6th. And Will Little let him vent a little bit and then told him to knock it off. And Tony couldn't help himself on that call.
I mean, it's just not a good call, and it hasn't been consistent. And you're talking about guys who know what the strike zone is. And as you mentioned, Tony had had enough of it on behalf of his team. He's watched a couple crucial 3-strike calls on pitches way out of the zone.
Makes it 0-1 to Carlos Santana.
Now, pretty much the left ear of the umpire is going to be in that duck out.
Changeup misses, and it's 2 balls and a strike. It was just leading up to that moment. It's 2-2. So we'll assume that Junior Novoa takes over. The bench coach will assume the managerial duties.
Fastball down, that's where it started. The first pitch.
So here's Nelson Cruz now, with a lot of things on his mind. He knows that a solo home run doesn't give him the tie ball game they need. He also knows that he might be dealing with a really expanded strike zone tonight. He's been watching all this. Puerto Rico is 4 outs away from doing something that no World Baseball Classic team has been able to do to the PR since 2009, and that's beat them. Two balls with no strikes. balls and no strikes to Nelson Cruz now. Adrian Beltre waiting on deck. Beltre really hasn't gotten it cranked up in the tournament yet. Here's the 3-0 home to Cruz. And there's ball 4 to Cruz. He's aboard. That'll bring the tying run to the plate with 2 out in the 8th. And Edwin Rodriguez wants to make a change for Adrian Beltre. Boy, you get the sense that Colon really wanted to finish the inning, of course. 2-out walk brings the tying run to the plate, and we'll be right back.
The Midas touch.
Well, here's the situation. Adrian Beltre, the batter representing the tying run. He's going to have to dial it up against one of the hard Puerto Rican throwers as the potential tying run here. This has been a lot of fun to watch, but not for the reasons we thought, John.
Exactly. I mean, it started out in the first inning where we thought the Dominican were going to get rolling, score some runs. They haven't. Give Yachty and the pitching staff again. Puerto Rico did this their first pool, and they're doing it so far to start the second one.
Keeping a very big hitting lineup in check and leading by 2. The new pitcher is Edwin Diaz. Just 22 years old, but with plenty of closer's experience. It came with last year's Mariners. Came up all the way from Double-A in June. Became the M's closer when Steve Cishek was demoted in August. Throw down at second base is in plenty of time to get Nelson Cruz, who never had a chance. That had to have been miscommunicated somewhere along the way.
They were baiting him by not holding him on.
And Beltre never even has a chance to swing the bat.
It's for great rides.
This World Baseball Classic telecast on MLB Network is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And sponsored in part by Sam Adams, Pursue Better. And by Ace, the helpful place. Last of the 8th inning. And Carlos Correa leads things off for Team Puerto Rico against the big Yankee Dellin Betances. Betances gets the middle of the order. Correa, Beltran, and Molina in the 8th. 73 appearances with last year's Yankees. Had the best strikeout per 9 number in baseball last year, well over 15 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Amazing how big he is and how hard he throws, but he relies primarily on his breaking ball.
Yadi Molina to Javi Baez to throw out Nelson Cruz, who, John, as you mentioned and pointed out to all of us, was kind of baited into thinking he could advance on that with fielders' indifference.
Yep.
But you're not talking about an ordinary catcher or an ordinary second baseman. Three and one. So Betances will try to keep this a 2-run deficit, and it'll be Beltre, Polanco, and Castillo when we go to the 9th. Single and a walk for Carlos Correa tonight. He takes a strike and it's a full count. Talk all about the depth at middle infield for Team Puerto Rico. As that one just misses. And it's really apparent on the defensive side. Some spectacular defenders.
Well, you're never going to see this too often, but on this caught stealing, I want you to watch Baez right before he gets the throw. Already congratulating Molina on the throw. Didn't ever even look at the tag. This guy is one of the best at tagging the would-be runners, but this is unbelievable. Like Magic Johnson, no-look pass. That's a no-look tag.
It's worth another look as Carlos Beltran takes a strike.
I mean, he starts pointing right now, and he's not even looking at the ball in the glove. It's just, he's very talented.
You know, last year when Joe Madden started talking up the virtues of him as a defender, Correa runs. Tag on him is in time to get him. The Wellington Castillo says, I can throw too.
Well, Castillo, the only way he's going to get this guy, he makes no movement. He throws from his knees. So the pitch is inside. Another perfectly placed tag by Machado. Watch this pitch. He reaches and throws from his knees. One hop. Gets him.
And Beltran with a broken bat base hit into right field.
Right in the nick of time. Gets his leg out of the way. Well, maybe he doesn't get his leg out of the way. It goes into his leg first.
Wellington Castillo's good back there. He's underreported as a catch and throw guy. His pop time was one of the best in baseball. As Molina fouls off the first pitch. 1.93 seconds to second base. That's the 4th fastest among all catchers who had at least 15 tracked throws.
Betances doesn't exactly get rid of the ball at a really fast pace because he's so tall, but he does throw it firm.
You know, I want to get back to what we were talking about regarding Javi Baez. And you and I were in a lot of these same conversations with Joe Madden when the Cubs manager started talking up the virtues of Baez. You know, you're used to a manager pumping up his guys. He wants to put the message out there with the writers and broadcasters that, hey, my guy does a lot of things you might not be aware of. And when Joe started talking about what a great tagger he was, we all kind of looked at each other like, great tagger? What are you talking about? And then you go back and look at the tape, and you see it play out in front of your very eyes like that play we just watched. And indeed, I don't know that I've seen anybody that quick, that nimble with his glove hand before.
No, and his dominant hand is his glove hand, which is part of the reason his manager was talking about. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he does a lot with his left hand, which would be his glove hand. And that becomes natural to him, and being able to just, it's not just an Olay tag, it's literal boom, boom, so quick that he catches it and he finds the spot. He'll do it at third base, he does it at first base, second.
Molina with a bouncer over the bag. Cano, an easy double play chance to set up the Dominican Republic for their last chance tonight. To the top of the ninth, 3-1 Puerto Rico.
First things
So the 4-time.
MLB Network.
You only get one chance to make a good first impression. MLB Tonight takes you inside every team's training camp for your first impression on how teams stack up for the new season. MLB Tonight's 30 clubs in 30 days. Go to MLBnetwork.com for the full schedule. Well, Edwin Diaz will continue and look to close things out here in the top of the ninth inning. Bottom third of the Dominican order. Adrian Beltre was at the plate when Nelson Cruz was caught stealing to end the 8th. And it may come of interest to learn that Adrian Beltre has faced Edwin Diaz once. It was in the bottom of the 9th inning in a game last year in Arlington, Texas. Beltre got on base. The next batter was Zaruk Neto-Dor, who hit a walk-off home run. Beltre trying to get on base here to give his chance at least his team at least a chance to tie this one in the 9th. Gregory Polanco's had a nice night, a couple of hits. Swing and a miss. That's some changeup.
More of a slider? More of a slider. He has the funkiness of his long arms with that fastball, and then he has a little downward tilt to his slider. Grabs one of those seams. There's the spin. And it was on the mark.
Gregory Polanco now. Polanco has 2 of the 6 hits for the Dominicans tonight. Balls and no strikes. Tony Pena ejected earlier tonight. Big fastball that misses. It's 3-0 now to Polanco. Both Puerto Rico and the Dominican got through their first round undefeated. 3-1.
Just the way that Yachty sets up, makes a pitcher want, and he entices the ball with his hands and his glove.
And there's ball 4. The tying run steps to the plate. Wellington Castillo tonight has walked, fly to left, and struck out looking. And in fact, it was that called strike 3 in the 6th that really got under Tony Pena's skin initially. He simmered for a couple of innings, and then on a strike to Manny Machado erupted. That resulted in his ejection. Off-speed pitches in for a strike. Setting up way off the plate.
So here's what it looks like. We've got them put together for you. Here's the first one on the outside part. That one started it all. Castillo's like, look, I've been behind the plate. I know what that is. And then the second one way off the plate. And he's trying to tell the batters where it is. And then this one right here, Tony had enough.
Still 0-2 to Wellington Castillo. Gene Segura waiting on deck. It's been 2,929 days since the last Dominican Republic loss in the World Baseball Classic. Got to go back to 2009. I mean, this is like seeing Superman bleed a little bit.
This would be nothing of a comeback if you think about it. They were 5-0 down against the U.S. and pretty much seemed like it was over, and then rallied to score 7 runs. So 2 very capable.
Down to their last 2 outs here, however. Maybe down to their last 1 out. Well, Edwin Diaz gets to face his newest teammate here. That is, once the major league season starts. Gene Segura represents the last chance for the Dominican. Trying to catch up to 96, falling behind 0-1.
Gene Segura would love to give Manny a chance.
Team that Puerto Rico couldn't get past in last year's finals in San Francisco. Strike on the corner. Yeah, why not keep going out there? I mean, that was paint 97 miles an hour. Puerto Rico's a strike away from a little payback. Diaz is set.
He fouled off a really good pitch right there to Segura.
Juan Samuel can still pick it, by the way. Third base coach back in 2013 for the DR. 16 years in the big leagues. Yeah, he's all right. Still the ball and 2 strikes to Gene Segura. And that's going to do it. Puerto Rico beats the DR. The Giant has been slayed. Big time combined pitching effort. With Yadi Molina guiding the ship. A 3-1 victory for Puerto Rico to open the San Diego round.
One-man wrecking crew right there tonight was Molina. He did everything he had to do. Hit a homer. Enticed his pitchers. There might be some conversation about the strike zone, but for me, the Dominican Republic in the first inning has that inning to talk about why they came on the losing end.
Yeah, I mean, even on this is the call that ended the game, John. It's, I mean, the high quadrant to the strike zone. All right. At 99, by the way. The young bull shuts the door. Roman, Santiago, Jimenez, Colon, and Diaz. The bullpen was phenomenal tonight. 6 1/3 of scoreless baseball.
Well, we talked about all the studs on this roster as far as pitching goes. It's been the Puerto Ricans that have absolutely dominated from the pitching. They've given up the fewest amount of runs. And they run their record to 4-0. 1-0 in this pool, second round.
We know what each game means in a pool where a round-robin format where each team plays only 3 games. Tomorrow, the U.S. and Venezuela. Puerto Rico gets off to the big start tonight. Time to present tonight's Alfa Romeo Player of the Game honors. Who else? Yadi Molina. A couple of hits, an RBI knock, a home run, and his steady leadership behind the plate with a young bullpen. A big part of the story in a 3-1 win. Should zip that off for his Hall of Fame tape someday. Yadi Molina doing it all, quite literally, tonight. He's standing by with J.P. Morosi.
Thanks, Matt. Yadier Molina, so many huge hits in your career. You're a two-time World Series champion because of that. Tonight you hit a home run for Puerto Rico. What does that mean?
It doesn't matter what I did. The pitching staff did awesome job. All the credit for our pitching. I mean, that was unbelievable. I mean, obviously, Dominican is one of the best team ever. I mean, this is huge for us.
Bases loaded, no one out, first inning. How did you and Orlando Roman work through it?
Man, we prepared. You know, we talk about that here. Orlando Roman got a great heart. He compete. He never quit. And that was a huge hitting for us. A game changer right there.
The Dominicans, they had won 11 straight games, Yadi, in the WBC. They're your rival. What does this mean tonight to end that streak?
I mean we beat the champion. We beat Dominican is the best. I mean, obviously we got good talent over here, and we show it tonight.
Yadi, what's your message to all your family and friends back in Bayamón watching tonight?
Con Dorado, Vega Alta, ustedes son los mejores, por ustedes nosotros hacemos esto. Los amo, Puerto Rico número uno.
And last one, Yadi, look at this crowd. We're a long way from Puerto Rico. How did all these fans get here, and what do you say to them?
I mean, they awesome. I mean, we want to play hard for them. And the support that they bring to us, the energy they bring to us is unbelievable. Puerto Rico is the best.
Yadi, please another.
Thank you.
Matty, back to you. All right, JP, thank you. Yadi's still in kind of game face mode, too. He is fired up.
Yeah, as he should be. I mean, we knew this game was going to set the tone for this pool, and obviously, as he said it, Dominican was the favorite, still probably the favorite, but right now Puerto Rico's enjoying the night.
I mean, I don't know if any position player could ask for a bigger night. His RBI single started the scoring, hit the home run that kind of sealed it. Huge caught stealing, was a big momentum shifter late. And again, guided this young staff. He was quick to defer the credit to the pitching staff, but I mean, you've spoken at length about what he means to those young pitchers, and it showed itself tonight.
It did. I just think the first inning again, it goes back to bases loaded, nobody out, got a big check swing, strikeout, and then of course the play in right field. The throw out again to Yadi. He never makes a pitcher feel uncomfortable no matter what the situation is.
Once again, you only play 3 games in this round-robin bracket-style tournament, and every loss is big, so the DR kind of up against it for their next matchup. The next matchup from here, however, comes to you tomorrow night. Team USA makes its first second-round appearance. They draw King Felix Hernandez and the tough stars of Venezuela. A 3-1 win for Puerto Rico tonight. Coming up next on MLB Network, we're going to join second-round action from Tokyo, as the Netherlands is in action with Cuba. This one's in progress. Let's send you to the Tokyo Dome and join Rich Waltz and Buck Martinez. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Busy day in the Tokyo Dome. Final day of round 2. And on this final day, here are your second round standings. Netherlands and Cuba here, Japan and Israel.